to the Trails Collective interview series. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really great, actually. It cooled down today. So 2 days ago, I thought I was going to melt into a puddle on the sidewalk. But today it finally cooled down, a little bit windy, a little rainstormy, but it's perfect. So how's it up in Rochester?
It's pretty good. It cooled down, like you said, but actually, just a little while ago, we had a tornado warning, which I was like, oh no, I don't know what's gonna happen, but nothing happened, so it was fine.
Yeah, the wind was really rambunctious. So I took my break at work at around like 2:30, and
Hmm.
I saw the wind just like whip across, but I was sitting like in a back little like patio area. So I
Yeah.
was fine. I was just watching it thinking like maybe I'll get rained on again. And then a couple minutes later my coworker came out and he was like, is everything okay? And I was like, yeah, dude, what's going on? He's like, apparently the front tables had like whipped across like the street and stuff, and he was like wrangling them back. But then he came back expecting it to be the same way out back, but I was just sitting there like eating, and he just started laughing because that's not what he was expecting to see.
Oh
But yeah,
wow.
we had a pretty windy afternoon here too.
It sounds like it.
So I know you from a couple races I think we've done together. I don't know if I believe I think I met you at Many on the Jenny 2 years ago,
Yeah.
or last year. Which last year did you get third?
Yeah, in 2019.
Okay, so I met you last year. You were
Yeah.
like right behind me and Amelia.
Mhm.
It was kind of like boom, boom, boom. It was great. And then I know I've done a couple other races, maybe like Mendon Ponds and stuff like that. But I don't think we've ever actually talked like before.
Mhm.
So it'll be really great to get to know you. You are famous. I know of you, and
Well,
I know that the last race that you did, you won. So that's like a pretty good way to go out with a bang of 2020, because I don't know if races should start again. So
yeah.
why don't you just let's first start talking about the most recent race that you did do and you did win, which was a last runner standing event
Mhm.
put on by TrailsRoc, which
Yeah.
Eric and Sheila of like who I've interviewed before, they put on that race. So yeah, why don't you talk about that? What is the last runner standing event?
Sure. So it's a race where um, there's a mile loop and everyone starts off at the same time, and you have a certain period of time to finish that mile. So it starts out with like you have 20 minutes to complete a mile, and then the next lap is 19 minutes, and then 18, and it just gets progressively faster. And once you don't complete a lap in the amount of time, you're out of the race. And at the end of it, there's one person standing.
So what was your fastest mile?
Um, it was either 7:30 or 7. It was mile
Oh wow,
24. Yeah.
that's pretty sweet. So so it doesn't so is it every hour
Um,
that you start, or like what?
no, it's just like it would be, let's say the first mile of the race, you had 20 minutes to complete it. So if you ran it in 10 minutes, you have 10 minutes to just hang out
Gotcha. Okay.
until the clock starts again.
Were
So
there any laps where you were like, oh, I don't know?
yeah, so I looked at the past results, and like there had been some great people that had run it, but it hadn't been like a really huge women's field that stayed in for it for a long time. And so this year it was really amazing. There were all of these women like running really far into the race, which was really fun and motivating. And there was kind of like some strategy early on because you didn't know whether to run the early miles or like you really could walk some of them. So there's kind of some strategy there. So that was fun.
So what did you do?
I ran them like an easy jog. And then I had like a folding chair and I sat in it and I had like a little bag with my food and snacks in it.
How long was the total event? Like how many hours?
Um, like hours, like between 4 and 5 hours, I think.
Okay, I kind of like this format. It seems kind
Yeah.
of manageable. Like you can do it in a day. Like eventually, like you have like eventually, like there's an end point. You know,
Yes.
like it's not
Yeah.
like it just keeps going. I like that. I kind of am like I wish they would do one like in the summer because like in the
Yeah.
winter that just kind of sucks.
When you kind of don't know if there's going to be snow or like there wasn't really any snow, but there was this one really muddy section that was like super sloppy, and as the day went on it just got like harder and harder to run through. So they like to make challenging races though, Eric and Sheila, so I'm not sure
Yeah,
if they would do it in the summer.
a lot of trail races are challenging.
Yeah, but you should do it. It was really fun.
Yeah, that sounds like one I'll put on the list. So, how long have you been running?
um, I started in 7th grade. I ran modified cross country and track, and so I've been running off and on since then.
In Rochester?
Yep, I grew up in Rochester.
What school?
Fairport.
Oh, okay. I have a couple cousins that live in Fairport.
Oh, really?
How old are you right now?
35. So they're
Oh,
probably
okay.
younger than me.
So yeah, just a touch older than me, not
Yeah.
much. You're hitting your prime actually right now, so that's great.
Sure.
So did you go to college in Rochester as well?
I went away for college and I still ran, and then kind of like moved around for a few years and then eventually moved back to Rochester.
Where did you run in college?
I ran for Notre Dame.
Oh, wow. So that's pretty competitive.
Yeah, it was
So
really
tell me
cool.
about that. Did you walk on? Were you recruited? Like, what was it like?
Yeah, so I was a recruited walk-on. So I didn't have an athletic scholarship, but I went on recruiting visits and like usually the coach can like use if you're like on the bubble of getting into the college, they can kind of like help sway the application in your favor. So I was a recruited walk-on, and uh, I don't know, we had a really great team, and some pretty good runners, and so I got my butt kicked all the time, but it was just fun to be a part of it, and I got to run at like cross country nationals a few times, and run like we were part of the Big East in track at that point, and then I went to regionals a couple of times in track.
That's really cool. What was your event?
So indoor, I usually did the mile, and then outdoors, I ran the steeplechase.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I'm very fascinated by the miles. What was your mile PR?
I ran a 4:54.
Oh, that's so fast.
I
Oh my
heard that you're training for the mile. I was listening to your podcast with Chris.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, well, we're technically doing 5 and 10K training,
Okay.
but because I've never done anything like that before, so he has to like ease me into it. A lot of hill reps, so I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
But the other day, yeah, I did, or 2 weeks ago now, I did a half a mile at 5 minute pace, and I thought I was gonna die. My arms like got so sore, and then like yeah, I was like, this is really lactic. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
but it was so much fun. Like I really enjoy it. Right now I'm not as jazzed to go super long, but doing the really short like short stabs
Yeah.
rather than like the slow burn is actually it's kind of fun.
It's nice to do that like this time of year too when it's so hot. Then you're not out there like slogging around for like really long workouts. It's kind of quick. And
Yeah.
you can, yeah.
And it's really cool how like so most of the time we're in this really hot, humid place, but then you get like a cool day and then you're like, I am so fast. It's
Yeah.
so cool.
That's what I love about the fall too. Like once you hit like late September, early October, all of a sudden you feel amazing running.
Yes,
Really
yeah.
bad day.
Holding out for that. Yeah. But it's all been fun. It's also just I really like doing things like new things. I mean, I like running that it's consistent. I know how to run, but there are just so many different avenues you can take, and especially like when you want to shake things up or you've just been like I've been marathon training for 2 years, so I was just like a little bit over super long runs, and
Yeah.
then especially I just didn't don't feel super comfortable going for long periods of time on the trails right now, and it just wasn't like filling me up. So this is just completely different, and it's been so much fun. So it makes me a little bit wish that I sort of had that college cross country track experience because I didn't start running until after that. And it
Yeah.
just sounds like it could be like if I had a good mindset around it, which probably would have been my stumbling block back then. It could have been so much fun.
It was like the being part of a team was so much fun. I think that was the best part. And we like traveled together and you had like instant friends on campus. And
Mhm.
everyone was kind of had a similar mindset of like training hard and kind of, I don't know, working towards a common goal. So that was really fun to experience.
Mhm. There's a lot coming out right now about like, well, was your coach a male or female?
Male.
Okay. There's just a lot, as you probably know, there's a lot of things, unfortunate things coming out in the news right now. And I think it's important to like ask about it and,
Yeah.
share your experience, good or bad. So I take it that it seems like you had a pretty positive experience. How did your coach um, throughout your season, I mean, like, how did he like foster like a healthy relationship with competition, with your body, with each other, balancing school and having a life outside of running?
Yeah, that's a really good question and really important. So I had a great experience at Notre Dame. I also don't think I performed maybe at my, as well as I could have. And so um, our coach was really good about a lot of things. Like we didn't have weigh-ins, which I've heard of like a lot of other D1 programs, like the girls would have to weigh in and like be a certain weight. And so we didn't have anything like that. Um, there wasn't really any pressure around like what we ate. That being said, like in a really competitive environment, you kind of look and see what other people are doing. And so having really good role models was important. And we had some really good ones on the team. So that was awesome. Like Molly Huddle was on the team when I was there. And she always was um, like really good about setting a good example about how to be a healthy runner. But I think we overtrained a lot. And so we had a lot of injuries on the team. And we're just kind of like burned out a lot of the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was a training week like?
So we would run, I was probably one of the higher mileage people on the team, and I would run like 60 to maybe 70 miles, which isn't a ton of miles for that level, but we would just hammer everything, like easy runs, warm-ups, cool downs, workouts. I don't think it was that the training was in itself bad. I think it was just we pushed everything way too hard, and we didn't have no one was like saying like pulling us back. And so I think that was the only thing I would go back and change is like just chilling out a little bit on like all of our training.
Yeah, because in addition, Notre Dame's a very like academically rigorous school as
Yeah.
well. So I can imagine that on top of stress. How many were you injured often?
So did not get injured that much, but I got sick a lot. So I don't know if I'm just like something um, about my like form or something, but I don't tend to get injured, but I did get like my body would break down in other ways in college. So I would get sick quite a bit and like miss parts of seasons.
Oh, okay, see,
Yeah.
yeah, that sucks. But it is what happens.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. So after college, did you take a break or did you just keep running? Like, what did you do after college?
I took a break for a little while. So I graduated in 2007 and kind of just like was very inconsistent for a number of years. And um, I felt kind of burned out after college running. So I just wanted it to be fun again. And then eventually I wanted to try running a marathon. And that kind of like got me back excited about running. And so then in like 2012, I trained for and ran kind of like trained for a marathon and ran it.
What marathon?
Wine glass?
Oh, okay. How'd it go?
Yeah. Good. It went really well. I ran, what is it, still my PR. I ran like a 2:58. And
Wow, for the first
yeah,
one.
yeah. I had run one previously, like with my brother. Like we just ran it together, but that was the first one I had like really trained for. Um,
Okay. Did you after that just sort of like tend to enjoy the longer stuff, or did you like work on your marathon for a little while? What happened?
I tried to keep doing more marathons. So I ran like, then I ran Chicago and I ran Boston, but never really ran faster than that. And at the same time, I decided to go back to school to get my graduate degree in librarianship and was moving around a lot and just kind of like fell out of training really consistently. And then what got me back into it was I had some friends who signed up for Twisted Branch for the first year that it happened in 2015. And kind of on a whim, I signed up to run it and then started training again so that I would be able to complete it.
And you got third, but we'll come back to that because
Okay.
I want to put a pin in library science.
Okay.
So, what made you decide to study that in college?
I don't know. So my undergrad degree was in English. So I think I just kind of always had a love of reading. But then after I graduated from Notre Dame, I went and I moved back to Rochester and I started working at Paychex. And I did like phone support for people who were having technical problems. And I really liked the challenge of like people calling up and trying to explain like what they needed and then figuring out a solution for them. And so then I looked up jobs. Like I wasn't really happy there, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I looked up jobs where you like helped people and found information and used technology, and then librarian came up. So I decided to go to school for that.
That's so cool because I told you before this, like one of my dream jobs was librarian. I actually
Yeah.
was a librarian in college. Was my work study job. And then, I mean, when I was growing up, we didn't really have like all the technology that we had now. So one of the things that we did was go to the library, and I started like when I was a kid going, and then I was like read to, and I always went to all those nights, and then I became the teen reader, and then I became like the volunteer librarian, and it was just the
Oh,
arc.
that's awesome.
Wonderful.
That's so
Yeah,
fun.
I do miss that. Like one of the things, I just miss the library. It's closed right now, so
Yeah.
yeah. But and I also find that like it's really good balance for me. It's what I like to do when I'm resting and recovering.
Yeah.
I don't really, I just never think to turn on the TV. We don't have one, so that's also one thing. But also, I could watch Netflix on my computer, like whatever. But I
Yeah.
just always like pick up a book and can just get lost in a book, and then it's like such good rest and just such like and I'll read anything. Like it doesn't have to be anything smart. It can be a beach read. It can be like
Yeah.
I don't know. Right now I'm reading about mushrooms for some random reason. But then I love the chick lit stuff, like the
Yeah.
romantic things. Like I don't care. And it's like trashy TV. Like when you just turn on the TV, just because there, I'll just pick up a book because it's there.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Who's your favorite author?
Oh, that's a hard question. Right now, I think it's Patrick Rothfuss.
All right, what does he write?
He has like a trilogy that he's writing that's kind of like fantasy type.
Okay.
But only 2 of the 3 books are out, so I would recommend not starting it until he finishes it.
Yeah, that's what I tell. Like, so I've never watched Game of Thrones, but I've read all the books. And George R.R. Martin is just keep writing.
So you tell people not to read it now?
Yeah, no, so I read it, and then I was like, why would I want to watch that as a show? That sounds so dark. Like I don't want to see that. Oh God. So yeah, I'll stick to reading those kind of things.
Yeah. Who's your favorite author?
Geez, it's like picking a favorite child. I love Jodi Picoult. Anything she writes, I just eat that up. Like it takes me like 3 hours to read her book because I just read. But what's his name? Neil something. He wrote The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and those 3 books, and then The Girl Who Picked the Hornet's Nest and The Girl Who Played with Fire. And I read those books at like a very pivotal time in my life, and they were very impactful because it reminded me or taught me that just because I'm a woman and I feel like, and I can be in a very like disempowered situation, I can get out of it. I just have to I can think my way out of it. Like I am smart and stuff. And it was I just needed to read it. And now it's like, I will recommend that book to anybody.
That's awesome.
Have you read them?
I have read them. Yeah.
They're good. Again, wouldn't recommend the movie because it's like kind of
pretty dark,
but the books are great. Back to running. Sure. You decided to run Twisted Branch, which we have talked about on the Trails Collective because it's very popular around here. You ran it in the first year and you got third. So tell me about the build up to that. Twisted Branch is a 100K race and it's gnarly. I dropped out of it. And so what was the build up like to that?
Sure. So I had been training like throughout the winter, but not really, I didn't really have like a goal race or anything. I was just kind of doing like maintenance, like miles. And I had a couple of friends who signed up for it in maybe like March, because it was the first year. So it wasn't, you didn't have to sign up on like the day that it opened. It was like, you could still sign up for a few months. And they convinced me to sign up. And at that point, I'd never run anything longer than a marathon, and I hadn't really run any trail races. I had just run like cross country. So I was like, I should probably run some other trail races before I try and run this 100K on like a pretty difficult trail. So I signed up for a bunch of like shorter trail marathon to like shorter ultra distances for that summer. So I just kind of like trained from race to race, and then gave it a go at Twisted Branch.
And how'd it go?
It went pretty well. I actually struggled early on, and then just started feeling like stronger as the day went on, which is like the ideal way to run an ultra, I think. So it went pretty well, and I ended up finishing third in like 14:40 something.
So I talked to Scott about the first running, and he thought he did a terrible job. But then it's like, how is it from a racer's perspective?
It seemed like flawless, at least from like where I was in the race. And so I remember him saying that after the fact, but I could not tell that like anything went awry during the race. And I think Twisted Branch has always had great volunteers. And like there's a great group putting it on, like Scott being the main one. And so like I think if you have that in the ultra, and there's that feel of like the volunteers are super helpful and everyone's really excited to have you there, and it was this really unique like opportunity to run point to point. And so I thought it was a great experience.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I told him that too. I was like, so I went into it in 2018, and I had like a broken ankle, but I still wanted to do it, and I had this like chip on my shoulder. Basically, every reason that you shouldn't run a race, that was why I was doing it. Wasn't good. I got lost. It was raining. Oh, I didn't have a headlamp. Oh, it was terrible. And it's also pretty gnarly. So, kudos to you. Have you gone back?
Yes. So actually the year you were running it, I volunteered at Urbana, like the last aid station. Yeah. I don't think you quite made it there.
Oh God, no, I was
not. So that was really fun. And then last year I went back and ran it again, and it didn't go quite as well, but I ended up 8th, which was still like pretty respectable. So
yeah.
And I ran for a little bit with Amelia, and we had a good conversation, and then she just took off and I started going in the opposite direction. So
yeah, Amelia's quite the amazing athlete too. So I want to, like, you briefly mentioned Molly Huddle, and she is a local legend. So tell me, like, what was it like being on the team with her? Like, was she already just like professionally mindseted, or was she still like learning everything like you were, or how was it?
Oh, that's a good question. So she was already pretty, I would say she was pretty professional already, but I don't want to make it out like she didn't, like I can see there's been a lot of growth since we graduated from college. So she always trained super hard. She is by far the toughest person that I've ever like been around. So, I mean, I think that's part of why she's so successful, but just watching her like in workouts and in races, she, I think, could just like handle more like discomfort than anyone else that I knew. But she was already super talented and like a really impressive runner.
So people who were that good, because she's like that good.
Yeah.
Did she have her own coach? Like, I always wonder about that. Like, do they have their own coach? Like, do they do anything? So it's just like,
yeah. And actually she ran in high school, but I'm pretty sure her dad was her coach. So when she came to college, like our coach was her coach. She had the same like access to the same athletic trainers, same facilities. She lived on campus in like a regular dorm with everyone else. Like she was just a part of our team.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I met her at the trials and she was just like completely normal. But it's so funny because like a lot of the people, I mean, she was more like I always think that these people are going to be a lot bigger than they are, but everybody's so petite. I like
Yeah.
tower over everyone. I'm like, hi Molly, looking down. Hi Des, looking down. Like what?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's super cool. I mean, it's cool that you were like you saw her as, you know, who just Molly, you know, like
Mhm.
not like Molly Huddle, Elmira
Yeah.
Legend, you know.
Yeah, you got to like actually become friends with her and
Hmm.
be, get to know her as a person.
That's pretty cool. That's special. So back to you, the most important
Mhm.
part of the interview. So does your husband run?
He does, but he doesn't really enjoy racing. So he will come and run with me like sometimes. He doesn't really enjoy doing workouts, so he'll just come on like easy days sometimes.
What do workouts look like for you?
Um, it depends what I'm training for. A lot of times I'll just I'm not very structured, and so I'll do um, like a tempo run or like something at like marathon pace effort. I run on trails a lot. I haven't run on the roads that much, so pace is difficult to kind of like compare.
Yeah,
He'll
I mean, like, we're not doing any pace work right now. Like, it's all
Yeah,
effort based because it's also so hot, and we're also not really, there's no races, so it doesn't matter. So,
yeah.
yeah, effort based is the way to go.
It really depends what I'm training for. So last year I ran the Buffalo Marathon in the spring, and then switched and did
Me
ultra trail.
too.
Yeah, I know you. You won it. Did you? Did you not?
It's a great race. It's the best race. Buffalo's awesome.
Yeah. I was like a half hour behind you, but it was a great race. So like in training for that, I would just run on my own, and then I went to the Rochester Running Company speed like workout nights. So that was fun having a group to kind of like do marathon speed
Yeah,
workouts with.
a group is like training partners are what you need.
Yeah.
If you could be blessed with some training partners, that's wonderful. And I feel like there's a lot of runners in Rochester. I mean, you guys seem to have a really great community. Do you run with other people a lot?
I don't a lot. I get um, I get nervous that like people will want to run faster than I want to run, which sounds really bad, but I feel like it's just kind of from that experience in college of like having to like just grind every day that sometimes I like to run by myself and just kind of like relax. But I enjoy like running with people for like long runs or workouts. So yeah.
Um, my training group and I always have like we always had the mindset that we're gonna go as slow as like the slowest person or not the slowest, but like the person going the slowest. So
Yeah.
like, I mean, it because it's any of us on the day, but we're always just gonna go like that slow because it doesn't matter. It's an easy day, like
Yeah.
so. Slower is usually better.
It sounds like you have a good training group to run with.
I really did luck out. Like I don't know why they accepted me or how we found each other, but I lucked out. Yeah, I really did. So what were your plans for the spring? Did you have any races on the and summer, I guess now?
Yeah.
Yeah, what were you gonna do?
So I was registered to run the Georgia Death Race in March, which then got canceled and then blew up because of the race director.
Yeah.
So I will not be running it when it is rescheduled. Um, and then I was registered to run Wine Glass Marathon in the fall. And so that's been canceled or like moved to a virtual race. So I have nothing on the schedule for the rest of
Do
this
you
year.
do virtual races?
I've done a couple. So I did some of the fundraiser ones like earlier in the year for the like local running stores. But I don't know that I really feel like compelled to run a virtual marathon.
How about when like some races have started to open
Yeah,
and I want to hear how you feel about that because I don't feel good about it. So
I
I
don't
will
feel
not be
ready.
still doing any races.
I don't feel ready yet. I don't like nothing against anyone who's like
No,
running
not at
some.
all.
I think everyone has their own like comfort level and like risks that they're okay taking. I've always wanted to do Cayuga trails, but I didn't feel, I just wasn't ready to like be in a race with a ton of other people yet. So I don't think I'll sign up for anything for the rest of this year, but I guess there's a lot of time left, and if things really turn around and maybe in November or December, there'll be something.
Yeah, for me, like it just in my day job, I see so much. Like I never thought of myself as an essential worker, but
Yeah.
that's what I've been, and I just see like so much. And then it just also what I read is that like we were doing so well and now the cases are,
Yeah.
and it's just like it's not worth it to me. I don't, and I mean, but I understand the camaraderie, I understand everything, I get it, I like, but it's just there's just something that I'm just like I can't be that,
Yeah.
like personally I can't take that risk, like
Yeah.
even if social distancing, all this stuff, like to me it's like it's I would feel like I was being selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And I just with everything, like I've been wearing a mask since March, like
Yep.
I like everything that we have to do at work, like I just I feel really like sometimes I have to stop myself from getting mad because I'm like we've done so much work,
Yeah.
and it's like and then just people being irresponsible. Even some of the race footage I've seen, like even stuff that was on the Trails Collective last week. Like I saw some of it and I texted Ian. I was like, "What the hell just happened? Like, are you kidding? Like, oh my
Yeah.
god!" And so it's something, yeah, it's very personal, and I know everybody wants to race. We're all tired. We all want to go outside and just be with our friends. But like, there's like you you just we can't ignore a pandemic. Like
Yeah.
I know it's like you can ignore your neighbor's kids, you can shut the window, you can like ignore things, but this is something you can't ignore no matter how much you want to ignore it.
Yeah.
And so this brings me to my next topic, which
Okay.
is Monroe is gonna open?
Oh, MCC.
Yeah.
In a very, very limited fashion.
So what
So
are they doing?
most classes are going to be remote in the fall, except for a small number where they like truly couldn't do it, um, like in the spring. They couldn't do it remote. So it's like we have like a welding program and like hospitality where they need to like actually prepare food, and some of like our nursing and like dental programs. So they're going to have um, some classes in person, but only what they actually have to do in person. So like if they have a lab, like they might split it up and like only an hour of it will be in person and then everything else is remote. So there's that. And then, so working in the library, we're trying to figure out how to open in a very limited fashion safely. Because we know there's a lot of students that don't have access to technology and like Wi-Fi at home. And in the spring, we didn't think it was safe to be open at all, and so we weren't. But the numbers are pretty low in our area, and um, it would be like a very limited number of students coming in at one time.
Our local library's also done like you order and then you go
Yep,
pick it up. So
we're
yeah.
gonna do that too. And then we have all of our like digital stuff that people can use,
Yeah.
digital resources and books. So
Yeah, I really feel for you teachers and educators. Like I just there because it's very it's a very hard situation, and it's going to be hard no matter kids come back or they don't, like
yeah.
because it's because then even if they don't, like that's probably the safest, but then
Mhm.
you have to train teachers, you should probably train your teachers how to teach online. And
Yeah.
yeah, I really it's such a hard situation, and there isn't really any right way, and I think that um America at large is looking for like a perfect solution to the virus, and there isn't one.
Yeah.
It's just this is the best we can do and we have to do it even though it sucks.
Yeah.
Like we just want a vaccine, but you know, we can't just wait for that and let people keep dying until we get it. You know, it's
Yeah.
like we want schools to open, but we can't do it that way completely yet. So we have to try something else. And it's just, yeah, it's a very sticky situation.
It is. I think K-12 has it a lot harder too, like in figuring out whether they're going to reopen or how they're going to reopen. Because I think at least like the students at MCC, they're adults. Like we can expect them to like hopefully follow like, you know, some safety precautions. But I don't know, like in K-12, there's also the issue of like childcare, and there's not a good solution for a lot of people. And I don't know, it's hard for like, I think it would be hard for little kids to socially distance, you know?
Yeah, well, I talked in my interview with Sheila. She teaches ESL, so
Yeah.
a lot of poor kids and like don't speak English. And yeah, I just, you know, and the thing is like, if we had followed the, like, New Zealand is opening, like,
Yeah.
they're fine. You know, it's just so upsetting. And it's hard to like forget about it. And so, I mean, and the thing is, coming back to racist, it's like
Yeah.
they want to try something. Like it's not going to be perfect, and I'm trying to like wrap my mind around that. But then I'm also just like, if everybody would just get on board with this for like 2 months, like
Yeah.
do it. Like, and the thing is, my coworkers and friends, we've been on board for
Yeah.
March. Like we've had to. That's our job. So it doesn't seem like a huge issue for us. We're like, we just do it. But for people that don't have to wear masks for 9 hours a day, it's still a very like, my rights. And like people that are just sitting at their house waiting for races to reopen and they don't understand. It's like, why can't we do this? Of course I'm going to sign up for the first race. And just, you know, it's so complicated. And I feel for everybody. Like we're all like suffering through this with no leadership. And, you know, and I applaud Ian for what he tried to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard everything went well. But it wasn't something that I felt I could be a part of, just my own, like, what's going on up there. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I think it's been really hard on race directors too, like trying to figure out whether they can put on races safely or not, and the risks. And I know it, like there's a big financial factor too, because people pay for races and then you spend money, and if you have to give refunds, I don't know. So I think, yeah, I think it's just difficult all around. But I guess right now I'm on the same page as you, whereas I personally feel like I can not race for the rest of the year and be okay just training and like running my own, you know what I mean? Like setting my own random challenges or goals. And that's one thing I can do to like try and keep things like headed in the right direction in New York.
Mm-hmm. And also, it's, you know, I've engaged in dialogue with a couple people about this, and you know, a lot of the financial stuff is like, well, we're supporting the race director and all that. I'm like, you could also just write a check.
Yes.
I don't know. Like write a check. I mean, it's kind of like, you know how some people joke like, oh, they gave us the t-shirt and medal before the race, now I don't have to run it. It's like, there you go. So
and that's why I feel fortunate to be in the position, like the races that were canceled, I think everyone I was signed up for, there was the option to like donate it to the race or like roll over your entry or ask for a refund. So I know not everyone can do it, but I think you're right. Like people who can, and you want to support the race director, like you can donate your race fee or just donate to the organization that they're a part of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you ever found that, like, though there's just so many different places now, especially with Black Lives Matter, and then the campaign that came out about femicide in Turkey just like yesterday, there's just so many places to donate.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to like shut it down. Like I support you, but I just, you know, there's just only so many places that I can like invest my money, and I'm always like weighing the like pros and cons. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I just asked you that, but I was just been thinking about that, you know, like I wish I could support everybody a million times over.
Yeah.
And I mean,
and you can't. And like there's so much going on this year. Like there's so many different like crazy things, or like worthwhile causes to donate to and support. And so it's hard to figure out where to like best and how to best support different organizations.
Yeah. I mean, I feel blessed to be able to even be wrestling with who do I give my money to? Like, I feel very lucky to be able to like have that problem. That's a true privilege problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what is like a goal race? Like a race that you're just like, I really would love to do that someday. It can be anywhere, any place in the world, any distance. What do you want to do?
I would love to run Western States, and it's so hard to get into.
Have you run a 100-miler yet?
I've run one. So I ran Burning River in 2016.
Okay.
It went pretty well. And then I took like a year off of running because it was just like so taxing. So I don't really want to run another 100-miler until I like feel more prepared to do one. Or it's like Western States or like a kind of like a bucket list race.
See, I like you because you're so smart. That's how I feel. I'm like, I don't have this, like, I need to run 100 miles. I'm like, I want to be ready to run 100 miles.
Yeah. And I'm so amazed by people who run multiple 100-milers in a year. I don't understand how they can do it. It's really
people
impressive.
that can run 100 miles in a week.
Yeah.
Like, where did
that's
you
so
find
really
that?
Impressive. Like,
it's still crazy to me. I've done it once and I was like wrecked. I was like,
yeah.
I do this to myself. It was like the first week of COVID. I was really at a low point. That's all I did. Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, Western States is they definitely, I think, are going to, maybe with this year off, they're going to readjust like their lottery system because they got to figure something out. There's just so many.
I know.
Like Dobbin's on like a year 7. Like,
I know. And now it's like another year because they just moved everyone from this year into next year's. So there's no lottery next year. So it's like a whole nother year for him.
Yeah. And then how also do you plan for like a year in advance? Like that's why these lotteries, like how do you know what your body's going to want to do in 6 months, let alone a year?
I don't know. And even now, like the races to get like your qualifying ticket for Western are getting so like they have lotteries. So it's just this crazy system of entering lotteries so that you can enter other lotteries.
Apparently I'm still in for Lake Sonoma next year, but I'm like, well, my long run caps out at 85 minutes right now. So I hope I can run 50 miles in 85 minutes. I don't know.
That's pretty awesome. How'd you pick Lake Sonoma?
Last year, I jumped into the lottery like on a whim. I think after JFK, Ian kind of talked me into it a little bit, and I got in, and I was all like ready to go. And then that's when COVID hit. That was actually like my first cancellation. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna go.
Yeah,
but
that's awesome though.
It'll be cool. Maybe I can drop down to the women's half.
You can do it. Well, only if you want to, but.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, I also, another privilege, I can run whatever I want. I do not have any obligation to run anything. So, well, Katie, thank you so much for taking this time out of your night. We are going to play a quick little game.
Okay.
It's called Ideal Aid Station.
Okay.
So I'm just going to ask you a couple questions about what you would have at your ideal aid station. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Sweet food.
Swedish fish.
Salty food.
Quesadillas.
Well, this could go for this too. Hot food.
Oh. The grilled cheese at Frozen Branch was pretty good this year, so I'll go with grilled cheese.
It was good, actually. I had a couple of them. I was volunteering, and I was like, well. But to be fair, I brought chili, so whatever.
Yeah.
Favorite sports drink?
Tailwind?
Non-sports drink?
Like at an aid station?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hard. Probably like Coke.
Coke, yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to say beer, but I couldn't because I don't think that's actually what I would want at an aid station.
I don't know. I mean, Camille can do it. I can't. Yeah. Favorite, like, a piece of gear item that you would want at an aid station?
Oh, like at the aid station?
Yeah, or it can be something in your drop bag, or just like something that they might have there. Like at Western States,
Chair.
they have like the ice that you can put in your
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I'll say a chair though.
a chair. Yes,
You can sit down. Yeah.
yeah, that lawn chair just looks so nice. It's like a throne. And then celebrity or special guest you would want waiting for you at an aid station, just that might pep you up, or maybe even if they could run a couple miles with you. Doesn't have to
Oh,
be a runner, it can be
I
anyone.
gotta go with Courtney DeWalter.
Yeah, that's
She
true.
seemed really fun. She would tell jokes, and she would probably be willing to do a few miles with me. So
She definitely would. She'd be like, "I'll pace you to the end."
yeah,
Yeah, she's wonderful. Just her she's just infectious. It's just
yeah.
great. Do you know she just started like a 500-mile run?
Really?
I just saw it on Instagram today, and I was like, "Yeah, she's been quiet lately. Wonder what she's doing."
Oh, where?
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't Colorado.
Okay.
So yeah,
I'll have to look it up.
cool to see that. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Katie. Where can people find you on social media?
Oh, I'm not a social media guru, so probably just on Facebook, and it's just Katie Ghidiu.
All right, Ghidiu.
Yep,
In that one. I had to
got
spell it on the email like 6 times. I spelled it again wrong again.
it.
Like, Ellie, think, please. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Katie, and have a wonderful evening.
You too. Bye.
Bye.